This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Denver, Colorado. I am here at the Island Beach Volleyball. Since 1998, they have been the country's premier volleyball facility with year-round league play tournament, well known by the players of every level, not only locally but nationwide. And I'm here with Tom, who is the founder, owner. Tom, let's start off a little bit about yourself. In the late 80s, early 90s, basically Rocky Mountain, Volleyball of the Rockies.
Volleyball of the Rockies.
Was going strong, basically adding a lot of numbers to the teams there. Late night talks, a little dream, a little vision. We now see the reality of something that came into play. Tell me how this all got started for us.
It all started in 1987, 88. And I played on a little Chamber of Commerce volleyball team when I was a junior chamber member with the city of Denver. And a bunch of us played volleyball, and I got hooked. And so the guys that were running into this gymnasium convinced a bunch of us to go play in Wash Park. And we started a little league in Wash Park with 10 or 12 teams. And that fall, I cornered them, and I said I'd like to get involved. And we grew 12 teams to 40, then to 100. By 1994, we had 200 teams. And we decided to add a volleyball vacation component. So we took a group of people to Cancun, Mexico. And we'll have our 42nd beach volleyball vacation this fall. We've now been doing that since 1994. We've had something like 2,000 people travel with us, 3,000 people. We work with AVP pros, Olympic athletes, and run fantasy camps. In 98, as you mentioned, we had this dream of taking the summer volleyball program and turning it into a year-round product. So we found a way to borrow some money and give up our day jobs, and we built this building. And the first decade was brutal. It's a tough business. We only make money about 4 hours a day. So it's and they can play volleyball for free in the park. So I have to be better than the park. I have to be a place they want to come for the beer, the food, the competition, the camaraderie, the community, the lack of wind, the lack of sun in the summer. In the winter, we've got them, but in the summer, it's tough. And so we opened the building in 98. We grew and grew and grew. We added a second location in, 2006, 2007 up in Broomfield. And here we are today with, 700, 800 teams, 1,200 teams a week.
That is crazy. I mean, the history of this place is pretty fascinating to read. I'm glad you guys make it through the first 10 years there. I mean, really across the globe, people are familiar with volleyball. What they're not so familiar with is a facility like this that can basically accommodate some play year-round, especially when we're talking about weather here of Colorado, where we're known more for our snow than we are our sand. Are people surprised when they walk into this unique place?
I tell you, it's interesting because people begin moving to Colorado because of this facility. And I literally know people that have been weighing job offers, and they've come here because they know they can play a lot of volleyball. When we built this back in the 90s, there were half a dozen facilities around the country. There's a big one in Rochester, New York. Wisconsin, of all places, has 6 or 7. Chicago used to have 2. One went bankrupt. There's a couple more on the East Coast. There's one in Seattle. It went under. So there have been facilities around the country. I don't know that there's been one as successful as the Island. And that's a testament really to the volleyball community and the people that play here as much as anything. I mean, we have great staff and good employees, but at the end of the day, the sport breeds community, and we have an amazing volleyball community here. We have, 5,000 players a week who play in our programming, and they all know each other. And they have volleyball in common, and it opens doors for relationships, whether it's marriages, teammates, friendships, jobs. I mean, it's an amazing, subversive little secret community.
5,000, that's got to be quite a database. I mean, I go in the restroom there, I see database on the wall there. I see a lot of people that coming through here. I mean, let me ask you, this is a vision, like most visions, it's evolved. I mean, what started compared to what it is right now, it has evolved. I mean, we've got an outdoor area now that has a complete... You've redone quite a bit here. I mean, what gave away in a tent, you now have a covered area here, a sand pits. Tell me about the facility. How many play areas?
So, well, we built the building originally, and the walls were all white. And we had 4 courts out back. We eventually got rid of 2 of them because we weren't filling them, and we added the tent and the picnic area. So one of the other offshoots of our business is we do corporate events. So we actually have a number of personalities, and our volleyball personality is right now. An hour from now, the leagues roll in, and we're packed with volleyball. On Fridays and Saturdays, a lot of Fridays and Saturdays we're running volleyball tournaments. But a lot of Fridays and Saturdays we're not. We switch to what we call event mode. And we do company picnics, we do bar mitzvahs, we do weddings, we do team building, we do graduation parties. And so we have school buses that roll in every day from all the school districts, and the kids play in the sand and get a hot dog and a chicken finger and a cookie. And so there are a lot of different facets to our beach.
I mean, this is a beach. Feels like a beach in here. The paint is green, the trees are green, and this recently you've also actually gone green. You've got efficient LED lighting that you guys put in here. I understand you've got a few more inches of sand that people can land into. Tell me a little bit about those improvements.
So the building it's been an interesting progression, because as I mentioned before, when we started, we didn't have paint on the walls. And what we found is we needed more atmosphere, not necessary for the volleyball players. They were going to play in any building, but for the corporate events. So we hired an artist, a guy by the name of Bob Stuhler, to paint the north end of the building. It took him 6 months to do it. He worked every night from 11 at night until 6 or 7 in the morning. And he was an interesting character because he was the drummer from a band back in the 70s in New York, a guy called Jorma Kalkman, who actually was Boulder, Colorado. And a lot of the older people will know that scene, Studio 54, and this guy would work all night painting the murals. And so we added the murals. We eventually added murals on the other end of the building, so now the entire building has murals. We replace the sand every 2 years, so we pull out 6-8 inches and we add new sand. And then we actually bought another 2 acres to the west of our property about 9 months ago, and we're going to be adding 10 more outdoor volleyball courts next spring, along with a new picnic structure and a grass area and trees. So we're kind of building our own private volleyball park.
Exactly the kind of story I love coming out and hearing. I love the entrepreneurial spirit. I love hearing guys that started something way back in the day, and quite honestly, many of them throwing the towel in the first 5 years, but you kept at it, and obviously you've expanded out here. You're able to accommodate different levels of players here. Let's start off with the serious guys, the volleyball addicts, if you will. Tell me about league play. What are the leagues? How do they get involved?
So, a lot of leagues out there are just a hodgepodge. They'll take 10, 15, 20 teams, throw them in a gym, put a schedule together, and you play who you play. And some weeks you play a really good team and you get your butt kicked. Other weeks you play someone who's not so good and you crush them. And some weeks you come in and get a great game because there's parity. What we've done in all our leagues, and it's kind of a luxury of having the volume that we have, but we break it into divisions every night, and they're performance-based. So we have 4 divisions every night. Division 1 obviously is the best players. Division 4 is the weaker players. Everybody's always drafting new players to try and move up the pecking order, but if you do really well in D4, you move up to D3. If you do well in D3, you move up to D2. Conversely, if you're not doing too well in D1, we're going to move you down. So we're constantly moving teams up and down in our programming. One of my business philosophies has always been that you don't want to play a crappy game of volleyball or tennis or soccer. You want, a good game is a game that's a close game that you thought you could win. So we work really hard to achieve parity, and we watch the standings really closely. We're really attentive to teams adding new players and subtracting players and how it might affect the dynamic of their team in our programming. And I would argue that when players bust their butts to drive through traffic to get here at 6 o'clock, they know it's worth it because they're going to get a great game of volleyball and they're not going to be bored.
We're talking about co-ed teams, teams with different numbers on the teams. What are the ages pretty much that you would say come out the most?
So we're across the board. On Wednesday afternoons, I have a master's group, a bunch of 60 to 80-year-olds that come in and play here before leagues start. My leagues have person of every age, every creed, color, walk of life. It's kind of cool because when you're in a pair of board shorts and a T-shirt, they can't tell if you're the most powerful attorney in Denver or a ditch digger or a nurse or a mom, and it doesn't matter. What matters is, can you set well? Can you dig well? Can you pass well? Are you fun? Are you a good person? It's a pretty neat community in that aspect because it's very, once you get in here, it's homogeneous. We're all just volleyball players and people. And we've got, as you mentioned, all levels. Our doubles leagues run on Sundays, primarily in the winter. That's the high-end player. Our sixes programs are on Sundays and Wednesdays. Those are the more recreational players or the more advanced players who just want to drink and have fun. And then we run fours leagues the balance of the time. And most of my programming is co-ed. Don't do a lot of men's or women's specific with the exception of the double space. And I found in the fours and sixes leagues, co-ed, it kind of keeps everybody in check. We don't have fights. We don't have problems. When there's a cute girl across the net, you kind of keep it in check and you're not a jerk. And conversely, when there's a cute boy on the other side, the cat fights don't seem to happen ever.
Somebody out there who wants to join a league, maybe they're not sure about it, they've never done it before. I understand you guys even have clinics to pretty much get them out there, the law of the land.
Yep, so we kind of, when somebody's new to the sport, I usually recommend they come to our Wednesday clinics. We're Wednesdays here at the Island. We're Thursdays up at the Oasis. We have a woman by the name of Chris Bradyhoff, and Chris has been playing beach volleyball in Colorado for a better part of 30 years. She played in college. She is still winning tournaments in her late 40s in the doubles scene locally, and she teaches our clinics from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock on Wednesdays. That's a great place to come in and get your feet in the sand. It's not so much a clinic as a boot camp. They'll do 3 drills, they'll do a warm-up, then they'll work on maybe 3 drills on a specific skill, so setting or passing or hitting, and then they'll break into groups by skill level, and they'll scrimmage for the last 30 to 45 minutes. And what seems to happen is, if you come 4 or 5 weeks, you're going to meet some people. Next thing you know, somebody's going to invite you to be on their team, and boom, you're in the community. Conversely, if you move to Colorado and you're really good, and a couple questions, we can kind of figure out where you are in the volleyball continuum. But if you've got game, you're moving from California, you've got a AAA rating, we're going to get you in on Thursdays for our men's pickup, or we're going to get you into our King or Queen of the Beach series in the winter, which is a round-robin format where you play with multiple partners over the course of a day. You don't need to bring a partner. You sign up alone. As a new player in Colorado, if you're good, you're going to play with 9 other really good players from Colorado, and if you've got the juice, they're going to get your phone number, and the next summer you're going to be playing doubles with somebody out in the big tournaments.
This is anything but hodgepodge. I mean, quite honestly, you're talking about, you guys have free agent draft nights. You've got drop-in nights that people can come in and check out. Even you're utilizing social media now, Facebook. I mean, if a guy wants to clock in there, put who you are, and basically meeting back and forth. It's really, it's a social environment. Is this way beyond what you kind of envisioned when you first set it out?
Yeah, it is way beyond, but not necessarily. It is what I envisioned from the volleyball context, probably on a larger scale. It's all the ancillary things I had no idea. I had no idea that we'd be running 2 trips to Puerto Vallarta, 1 to Ixtapa and 1 to Cabo San Lucas this winter, and I'd be working with Olympians. I had no idea that I would work with athletes like April Ross, who was in the Olympics in Rio playing with Kerry Walsh. And she spends a week with us in Mexico teaching volleyball because she has the same passion as one of the best players on the planet that these guys have. They're just learning the game in the building. And I also had no idea that we would be running corporate events for 600-700 people, and we'd be catering that out of our kitchen. I had no idea that I'd have a full chef in my restaurant doing specials every night that are I love eating the food here because it's really good. It's not bar food.
Let's speak about that. I mean, the environment, when it comes to some of these hardcore volleyball folks, all they need is sand, they need the net, they're good to go. You went far beyond that. You're talking about a place that has an environment to it. We're talking about a place that when you're done sweating a game out, a cold beer can be waiting for you. You've got a full-on bar right there. I imagine those two kind of just went hand in hand.
No, I mean, obviously, volleyball's always been connected to liquor. You know, I got you a margarita tonight. It probably has Cuervo in it. For people that go way back in Colorado, the Cuervo Tour, Cuervo sponsored beach volleyball through most of the 90s. And one of their biggest stops was in Boulder, Colorado at South Boulder Rec Center. So non-volleyball players, when you mention volleyball, they go, oh yeah, the Cuervo Tour, because they remember going to South Boulder Rec Center and just drinking like a fish all day long and watching amazing athletes in bikinis and board shorts playing this sport. It's a good match, but it's interesting because our players, they're here to play ball, so they play first and drink later. So the common saying in our bar is that we have drinkers with a volleyball problem, not volleyball players with drinking problems.
That is great. I mean, quite honestly, you could have thrown 1 bottle of beer out there and called it a bar. You could have thrown a couple drinks out there. You went up and above. We're talking about 12 drafts. People can get here, 20 different bottles of beer. After all, we're in Colorado. And I understand, like you said, margarita. If a guy likes tequila, it sounds like you really, really can take care of me here.
So we've got, I think, 90 tequilas behind the bar right now. And again, we have Mexican beers. We've done 90 tequilas. It's a good match with the sport, the beach, and we also run these trips to Mexico. So it's a good match.
Absolutely. What you mentioned there earlier was Not only got the drink here, you got the game going on, but I don't even have to bring my brown bug lunch to fill my tummy. You've got an executive chef back there that basically, I mean, really has many years. He's been with you since 2014, but yet he's got 2 decades of experience as a culinary artist. Some of the specials you guys are putting out there, I mean, they would rival some of the nicest restaurants here in town, places that you need a tie to come in and eat, yet here you don't even need shoes.
No, and it's so. Again, you asked earlier, was I surprised where we ended up? I never thought I'd have a chef, and the critical path on that was that in the early years we were doing corporate parties and we were using all the caterers in Denver, and which is fine, and they did a great job, but we were leaving a piece of the business, on the table. So we had a chef who actually lied to us, and he was one of the premier chefs in Denver, and he had us, and I'm not going to tell you who he was, but he had a little 4-month window between a restaurant that had been at for 6 years in Boulder and a new restaurant that he was opening down on Broad in a new property. And he lied through his teeth about his skill set. And he came in and he turned our business upside down. And all of a sudden, we were doing the catering for high-end parties on the weekends, and he was throwing out specials during the week. And what we found that it was a complementary mix, that we needed a high-end chef on Saturday and Friday. And then during the week, the volleyball players get him because we've got him. And so why not put his skills to work? And so we get to eat great food during the week. And I kind of have another business philosophy, and it is that to some degree, these people pay a cover charge to come in. They pay for their leagues. And so I don't need to take advantage of them in my pricing. So all of our beer and our food is really, really equitably priced because I want them to stay here and eat and drink with their friends. And I don't need to get rich on the food because they've already paid for their league, and it's kind of part and parcel and it's a package.
So obviously there was a little money left on the table. You decided, hey, we're gonna look at that and do something with it, but yet everybody here benefits.
Yep.
I mean, everybody here benefits. You just got done telling me you're buying some more acres out here. Obviously, the people that keep coming here, they have really got to enjoy what this has evolved into. I mean, this is about community for you. I can tell this is really, it's a sport, but this really is your family. You got one big family here. I mean, you've got a database of quite a family here. Has this been rewarding for you?
I'll tell you 2 things. First of all, you talked about the evolution. We've been talking a lot about the growth of the business and the piece out back. The final piece that's happening in volleyball is that it was sanctioned as an NCAA Division I collegiate sport last year. So the first NCAA beach volleyball finals were in Florida last May. The 2 girls that won that actually are sitting undefeated in a World Cup event right now in Croatia. So we now have a feeder system of college girls going through towards the pros, and that's trickling back to the high schools. And so California, Texas, Florida are ahead of us, but Colorado now has 6 club beach volleyball programs where the girls are just playing beach volleyball, hoping for beach volleyball scholarships. So part of our growth into the outdoor courts out back is to start hosting the Rocky Mountain region training for our top elite girls, a couple of the club programs, and you talked about family. It's cradle to grave. We're now getting girls 13, 14, 15 years old playing beach volleyball, and I've got people in this building in their 60s playing volleyball. So it really is, and they all play happy together. The older people love bringing the younger ones along. It really is a family.
That is excellent. Viewers, take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see, first of all, is their website. On the website, a lot of information they put out there for you. These folks take this game very seriously, yet at the same time, they're here to have a great time. But they really do respect the level that you're at. If you're not sure where you should be, check it out. They got clinics. You can come in and get that done. They've even got one-on-one clinics if it's something you want to take care of. They've got educators that have been really in the industry for over 30 years, teaching you what it's all about to get out there on the sand, understand the law of the land. Very interesting. It's a place that continues to keep growing. Basically, I had to seek them out and make sure I could get in here and check it out. Check out the leagues right there. They got a Facebook page there. They'll let you know of the specials the chef is brewing up for you. And obviously, a great place to get a drink, okay? We're talking about, like you said, 60, 90 plus tequilas on the back bar there. You've got beer, draft beers, bottle of beers. We're in Colorado. Honestly, I have to say this is a lot better than the beach you're going to find anywhere on the East Coast or the West Coast. And pretty much this is an organization that has grown, surpassed what a lot of them have done throughout the years. And there's a few of them out there. This is a company that began back in 1998 with really a vision of expanding out, providing something for folks that they didn't have here in Colorado. That is the Island Beach Volleyball, located right here in Aurora, Colorado, your volleyball oasis. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and if you don't know, now you know.